Welcome everybody to the Link to the Past Randomizer Spoiler Log Tournament Season 2. I am Synac, and I am joined here by Drossi. How are you doing?
I am great. How are you?
I am equally great. You know what? We've got ourselves, I would say this is gonna be a pretty great match. We got on the left side here, we got JamesFnX, a player in the last year's spoiler tournament, definitely has some experience doing these. I think we'll see a good showing out of him. And then on the right side of your screen, we've got Kyong 92. Kyong was the winner of last year's spoiler tournament, undefeated until the finals, where he did a 2-1. So this is going to be very, Kyong is going to be a player to watch in this tournament. And after looking at the spoiler log for this seed, I'm going to be very curious to see how both of our players tackle this one. I would say I don't want to say too much here, but you may want to grab a glass of tea or a cup of tea or a glass of soda or whatever your drink is, because this will take a little bit of time here.
Though it's also worth noting that Kyong is like a routing god, considering he's the author of the simulator, z3rsim.com, if you want to check it out. That's a really good way to practice your routing.
Yes, z3rsim.com. Yeah, Kyong is the creator of that, and it's a very valuable tool. It's really great. Like if you're like a slacker at work, it's like the perfect Slack at work tool, except when your employer blocks it. That's another story. Anyway, we got just a few seconds left on the clock here before both of our players get going. And both of them are off. Some free bombs.
Yeah, getting your Uncle Bomb sitting right there is nice. You don't have to worry about farming rupees to buy bombs or anything. Oh, and Kyong is immediately out of there and going to Link's house with a vanilla lantern.
The vanillest of lanterns. And making this an immediate beeline to the dam.
So this is fascinating because it's not too often in a spoiler race that you see routing divergence right off the bat like this. So James is doing what's a bit more typical and trying to get to Kakariko because there's almost always something in Kakariko. Kyong is doing South Shore.
He's got set up for like an early Zora. He really wanted that. He's gonna get some bomb strats against the Moldorms here. Putting that very convenient 10-pack of bombs to work. So if you can get the bomb to connect.
Wow, I wasn't sure if that last bomb had gotten the mini Moldorm, but it did.
We have our glove.
2 bottles in mini Moldorm, and meanwhile James got the fire rod over in Blind's hut.
James also found Sankheart.
Yeah, and heart containers are few and far between in spoiler because you're not going to go too far out of your way to get them.
Realizing, yeah, I don't need that. And Kyong picking up a Moon Pearl.
And James just got a bottle and some money out of the well. And he's not using that money on Bottle Vendor. So, given the lack of weapons, Cane Burna, if you can get a magic fill up, is not a bad weapon to have early in the game.
Yeah, I would say so as well. You can definitely do a lot with Burna. Definitely something that it's a nice to have, especially if it's along the way. Personally, I wouldn't go out of my way for it unless like I'm in a situation like this where like getting a weapon's gonna be hard. Like Kyong has like a fire rod right now. Probably okay.
Well, they both have fire rods.
Yeah.
But, for instance, if all the other weapons are hard to get to and they have to do Thieves' Town early, Burna's a good weapon for blind.
Say so, yeah. Like you have to budget the magic usage though. I think you can do burn a blind on one bar.
Well,
I'm
they
not
both have
certain
bottles,
about that.
so they can always
Yeah.
go and buy green or blue goo.
That is true. So both runners kind of retracing each other's steps. Kyong, yeah, is also going to go for that Burna.
Of course, here, we haven't talked about this, but speaking of Thieves' Town, it is a pendant. You're not going to see map checks from these runners because all the pendant and crystal information was in the spoiler log. So our tracker has very nicely already filled out that information.
I wasn't even paying attention to what the pendants and crystals were, so yeah, thank you for reminding me about that.
And likewise, the medallion requirements for Meyer and T-Rock are also already on the tracker.
Alright, so Kyong appears to be on a path right now to Death Mountain.
Which
James,
is even in logic, amazingly.
It is. We haven't seen any real sequence breaking shenanigans. We haven't had an opportunity though.
Yeah, and the runners have more or less synced up, with the only real difference being that Kyung's routing was a bit more efficient and he was able to go into the back of Escape and grab the Moon Pearl. But other than that, they've done all the same stuff and are in the same place.
Yeah, alright, there's our Dark World access. Only in a spoiler race do you get Dark World access in 6 minutes.
Though given those locations, it still would have translated to Dark World access in 10 to 15 in a regular open mode.
Yeah, like, those weren't like the worst locations for your stuff. Yeah.
Now, we can't actually use that hammer up here. Into the Dark World, though. Spike Cave, we can use the hammer in there. Wait, so does James not have the Moon Pearl, in fact?
Does not. I don't think. I didn't see. Yep. Doesn't. Uh-oh. Yeah, you're not. Yep.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Alright, well, boots.
Yeah. Now, in a regular open seed, we would not have seen those boots before probably like the 45-minute mark.
But instead we have 7-minute boots. Which is the best type of, well, the best type of boots is starting boots, but we won't go there tonight.
At least James did rescue the old man, so he can save and quit back to the mountain pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And Kyong taking those boots and getting a sword out of the library. And you know, if that's the first sword, that you had to go up Death Mountain and get the boots out of friggin' Spike Cave to get a sword in library, the other 3 swords are in even worse locations.
And the sea just gets better and better.
Yeah, I wonder when that mirror is going to show up with those Titan's mitts on Spec
So-
Rock.
You see what Kyong did? Went into Mini Moldorm Cave to get Water Walk State. So basically what Kyong did was arm a Water Walk, and now is going to use this. Is going to go up here. Yep, is probably going to sequence break the heck out of whatever Zora Ledge is.
And he's not giving us an advanced preview either.
Oh, why would you?
But yeah, I'm not sure I've ever seen a water walk charged in Mini Moldorm Cave before.
Yeah, it's because like normally so in like item rando or like in a blind game, there's a mirror. Oh my goodness.
Well, there's our mitts then.
Yeah. So now like with the boots, you could do that water walk to get the mirror to get mitts. So yeah, so like in a normal item rando, you generally aren't the way you route. You're never going to do that. It's not time effective. But in a spoiler race, you can do that. Generally, yeah, if you're like water walking there, you generally have inefficient routing.
So now Kyong has access to basically all of Light and Dark Death Mountain except no hookshot, so the 3 non-bonkable chests in Hookshot Cave are out of logic. Though knowing Kyong, if something's there, he'll just hover to them.
This is a pendant dungeon.
What?
Chat, you know what this means. There's something here.
Or else it's the pendant he's after, which you can do the math. But
It's
we'll
not
find
even
out.
the green pendant.
Yeah.
Let's see if Kyong kills the boss.
Well, he skipped all the chests so far. So
Oh
seems like our remaining options are either Moldorm has progression or this is a ped seed.
Or yes.
Meanwhile, James is over in Pod, which is at least a crystal dungeon.
So there's our bow.
Yeah, key item pickups on both sides at the same time. Kyong getting the bow, James getting the flippers, so he's not going to do any fancy water walk charging.
So what James ended up what Kyong did with that water walk shenanigans was avoid a double dip of pod, very likely. Assuming that our other bow is not accessible right now. And now Kyong is going into pod. It's going to be able to basically do both of these dungeons at once. It's going to be pretty convenient.
Yeah, having that mirror and the hammer and the bow, and even the lamp for that matter, all lined up. He's just gonna...
Yeah, I'll say this is some top tier routing that I would certainly expect out of Kyong.
So there's our big key. Dark Maze not a great place for the big key, and it looks like James is going to the big chest, too. Boing, boing, boing.
So, James claimed the hook shot. He's going to have to come back here, unfortunately.
So where's James going now? Oh, he's doing... Right, he's gonna go around and get his mirror eventually. Now, the interesting thing about Pod in a spoiler race is you have to be really careful with the keys. You have to figure out, okay, given what items I need to get out of here, exactly how many keys am I going to need? So that you're not getting keys unnecessarily, but you also don't have to backtrack when you run out of keys.
So if you think that spoiler races will let you escape the misery that is pod key logic, you're mistaken. Nobody escapes pod key logic.
Yeah, so Kyong only took one out of the front, which means he's going to get two here in the back because he didn't hammer yump, so he'll need... Is he having second thoughts? Is he gonna hammer yump?
He's going for the hammer yump.
I spoke too soon. Because the alternative would be he'd have to dig out a a third key from Dark Basement. That Rupee Basement,
One
rather.
pixel too high, too low. Nope. Yeah, it was like a very specific setup on that. All right. One too high, two too low. There we go. Let's go grab the big key.
Right, he first needs to fetch that big key, but then he can mirror. That's the other nice thing, that he's doing this with his mirror already. But he's going for the other chest back here. Did James open the other chest?
I think so. I don't remember what was in it, though.
Trying to collect pieces of heart when they're not too far out of the way, and that was another heart container for Kyong.
Calculated. Alright, so James is going to the Dark Kakariko area. Oh, Kyong. There we go. Alright, so James knowing that that tree, when you bonk it as a full magic, it's a pretty nice thing to know, especially before going to the Skull Woods where you're going to need that magic. So, for those just tuning in, this is the second season of the Link to the Past Randomizer Spoiler Log Tournament. This is week 2 of 7 weeks of Swiss. Both of these players won their round 1 matches last week. So they ended up getting paired together in round 2, because that's how Swiss works. And 15 minutes before you saw the racers begin playing, they got access to the spoiler log, and they had that time to plan out a route. They can still reference the spoiler log. They get it like in a text file, but they got to basically come up with the fastest way to beat the seed now.
And every so often, you'll see a runner take a very obvious pause to recheck the log for something.
Spoiler races are a giant test of execution and fast thinking. Being able to recognize basically, like with the tech that I'm allowed to use, with the glitches and the tech that are legal, how fast can I beat the seed? It can be a very stressful thing to figure out. Kyong sitting here hammering out his differences with Helmasaur King. I tried. It's a oldie but a staley one. All right, so Kyong is holding out the sword. This is actually kind of painful to do with. Right.
And there must be something in the Thievestown big chest because James had to mirror back and grab the small key.
I'll have to see what that is.
So that's our first crystal, a little past the 19-minute mark, which is surprisingly late for the first crystal in a spoiler race.
That makes sense. I will have to shout out though the execution of that Helmasaur fight. Fighter Sword Helma is kind of a pain in the rear in phase 2.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't just go for the bow.
He could have. He only has 10 arrows, and resource management is incredibly important. Though he is going to be able to get access to a bunch of arrows here in Eastern.
Yeah,
pretty much everywhere.
Practically every pot in Eastern has 5 arrows under it.
Yeah. I mean, in hindsight, maybe Kyong could have just used the bow, but I will say that Fighter Sword Helma though won my heart.
So, remember how we were talking about pendant dungeons?
Yeah.
Thievestown is also a pendant. James just bombed the attic floor, which means he's planning to fight blind.
I don't know, maybe blind has an item. Maybe this is like secretly ambrosia or something. It's not, by the way. It's not ambrosia. I'm going to clarify that right now.
Well, we saw the compass on Helmasaur, so it's clearly not ambrosia.
No, see, we play real modes here in the spoiler tournament.
There's Ether, but that's the one medallion we don't need. And as we were discussing, Kyong is stocking up on arrows under all those pots. So go ahead.
It's the ice rod.
Yeah, James definitely needed that small key from the front.
Yep.
Simultaneous boss fights, Kyong getting an excellent quick kill on Armos Knights.
Alright. We'll probably see some face reburner.
James on the script pretty well so far, but yeah, you're right about the safety burner.
Yeah, no, the script was kind of lost there. But, whatever. No big deal.
Okay. So, no getting around this fact. James did not just beat blind to get 50 rupees. So I imagine we'll see Ped relatively soon because we have the Fire Rod and Skullwoods and he has the mirror, so easy enough to pull if he wants to.
Yeah, it's gonna use some of the money still banked. Grabbing a blue potion's a good idea, especially if you know you've got a fairly comfortable lead at the moment. There's no sense throwing that away just by avoiding getting a safety. So James is also going into Skull Woods.
I think it's pretty safe to say this is a pet seed.
So chat, what do you think it's on pedestal? If it is a pet seed. Any guesses? We gotta up the engagement here. So we have one guess for Bombos. Red Cane, Samaria, a sword. I don't think they would. So if there was a sword, they'd definitely be not doing pedestal for a sword. Book of Medora, maybe. They already have access to one bow. Powder, shovel.
Oh, so
Yeah.
chat wants to see fetch quest on ped. I see how it is.
I mean, here, like, spoiler race trolls are not the same as normal race, like blind run trolls, right? Like what trolls you in an item in a blind run is stuff like, you know, left side swamp has something, you skip it or whatever, things like that. I'm using the word troll very lightly. In a spoiler race, a troll is something like, let me think of a good example. Maybe the seed sets you up to think that maybe you can do something without like Titan's mitts or something, but in reality you actually need them for X reason, and you don't think of that until like later down the road, and then you're having to like basically reroute on the fly. That can happen.
Or where the logic is just so tangled that it takes forever to figure out what order you need things in.
Yeah, I mean, like, you could run in a situation where you've had like multiple double dips and having to sort all that out. That can be kind of a mess to deal with in a spoiler race. And more importantly, figuring out then things I can do to maybe mitigate some of those double dips. For example, Kyong's water walk to avoid double dipping pod.
And speaking of water, he's setting up the bomb diver down here. And he gets it.
I think we have to do left side swamp.
Oh, look at the B strats on Moth, by the way.
There we go. You know what? That bee stole the show for me. That bee was a hero. It'll be remembered. Everybody, like, get your. Yes, it'll be remembered. Yeah, get your F's in chat for that bee there. We'll remember it fondly.
So to answer chat, the spoiler log layout is not the standard spoiler log layout, so it doesn't give you the sphere order. It just gives you a laundry list of locations and items, and you have to figure out the sphere order for yourself.
Yeah, we strip out the playthrough section. That would just make things too easy. So it would be interesting to include it like for a race and just to see what happens, but yeah, we don't include it. There's also some other quality of life things we do. We tell you what the tree poles are. We tell you what the stun prize is. We tell you. Sorry, go ahead.
Just an observation. James has. Oh no, he never did Hera. He never got the bow. That's why he didn't. Oh wow! For a moment, I thought he had all three pendants. Thank you to our tracker, Ark, for being on top of this. And
here's our second sword. And JamesFnX, here's our flute. The thing was, our flute was not in Sphere 1. So the spoiler log has some quality of life changes in it, and we also tell you some additional information that the spoiler log normally doesn't have. Like it'll tell you the prize packs for the prizes for tree pole, all 3 tiers. It will tell you the bush crab. It'll tell you the fish save. So if you throw a fish in the water, the drop there will also be revealed in the spoiler log.
It tells you how many digs for the dig game, even.
Yeah, and actually, I don't think we'll be seeing digging game. I don't think I'll spoil that one for you. There's nothing there. But if they had to do digging game, it was a 30 digging game this day. So yeah, we've seen some runners use the number of digs available in the digging game, that piece of information, to actually specifically route out an optimal path through digging game, so that when they dig up their 30th, the item is like right over that heavy rock, the Titan's rock, that you need to lift up in order to go and to get out.
So I was just looking. It's unfortunate James didn't go to Swamp first, because if he had Quake, he could just do everything up here except for GT itself. But as it is, if there's anything on East Death Mountain, he's gonna get it. Yeah, I think James' hesitation there might have been checking, because the way the spoiler log lists things, it would say big key in map chest, and he probably had to think for a moment, now which one is map chest?
Kyong activating the flute.
Oh, yeah, chat pointing out also there's that Cane of Samaria issue, so he wasn't going into Turtle Rock anyway. I'm surprised he's choosing Fighter Sword spins over Hammer when he has the hammer out. Now he's hammering. There's our third pendant, and ladies and gentlemen, we were just trolling you. This is actually a Triforce on Pet seed, and we're done. So, looks like Paradox Cave's got something. Unfortunately, Paradox Cave is labeled as lower and upper, and since it's a paradox, I disagree with how the spoiler log labels lower and upper. And it looks like James also got confused by lower versus upper. Because I think this level is labeled as lower in the spoiler log.
See, what I do is I just see upper, and I think 5 chests. Or I just see where the one has 5 chests. Alright. There you go.
And there's
I want to be careful. Oh, Samaria?
Yeah, so back to what I was originally saying, that James could have, if he had done Swamp first, come up here and done Turtle Rock as well and everything.
Well, sorry, chat. It's not Samaria on pedestal. Kyong also grabbing the ether. It's awesome.
Maybe he wants a coin collection, you know, turn them in at McDonald's for a free Happy Meal.
Yo, you have to mark off that that square on your bingo card, right?
Exactly.
It's like, hook shot cave.
More health's good.
It's third sword, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the third sword we know about, and I'm sure James will get tempered when he goes through Swamp.
Textbook.
Silver.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just about to say silvers are sure nice to have too.
I'll just say that, yeah, we have a textbook blind kill on Kyong's side. And James is going to be grabbing the Bombos medallion.
Yep.
That's the only thing, or something that leads to it. Yeah.
Right.
Really.
I mean, it could be, you know, powder to shovel to mushroom to Bombos.
Nah.
That would love
Let's
that.
not kid ourselves. Yeah. So there is. Sorry, go ahead.
There's our no mode, if you will.
If there is like such thing. And
well, chat now knows where all the items for completing the game are.
True. So I can tell you at this rate, I mean, this is gonna take a little bit of time. This isn't gonna be a sub-hour. Yeah, we have a lot we have to go through. Kyong, 2 hearts.
Oh, Hammer Mothula. Yeesh.
1 heart.
Has
a blue. Does a blue potion. Kyong, you're playing with our hearts here. Literally. You use it. Yes.
Phew.
And
He could
unleash the bee.
You know. What's he holding on to that bee for? He could have done bee moss strats.
So 3 hearts. There we go. Yeah. With a full magic refill. All right. That's, yeah, 5 heart, blue male, Mothula. Kind of a rough fight. And Kyong is going to claim the Bombos medallion as well.
Sorry for the volume change, but figured I'd switch the audio since Kyong's pretty clearly ahead at this point.
Yeah, Kyong gonna grab the Samaria. And it's gonna be in pretty much go mode.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll go into Hookshot Cave and get tempered in silvers because the amount of time that saves on Ganon versus the amount of time it takes to traverse Hookshot Cave makes it totally worth it. Hey, and he's getting the shovel just because.
So, the thing about the shovel is you can use it to, like, well, if you're like in a situation, like, I don't think Kyong's gonna run into this problem, but you could end up in a situation where you're low on resources, like arrows or bombs. You could just start digging if he had to.
Yeah, I've mostly seen it happen in silverless seeds when a run runs out of arrows in GT.
Yeah, which I think, based on where we saw the silver arrows at, Kyong is going to grab those. That's going to be a very fast grab. Yeah, Kyong is going to go for him. It makes a whole lot of sense.
So yeah, tempered silver Ganon. That's gonna be a nice fight. Oh, and for safeties, James just pulled the cape out of the flooded chest. That's a nice safety to have. Not too far of a detour.
Three taps and is in. Probably just gonna get Turtle Rock out of the way. Gotta do it at some point.
Yeah, that's why I was a bit surprised that James didn't just do Swamp before he went up to Death Mountain.
What I think it boils down to is that, like, kind of what I said before, is that 15 minutes isn't a whole lot of time. And these are pretty stressful and difficult to route out. Yeah. If you don't believe me, go to the main Randomizer Discord or the Discord that's that you can access with the ! spoiler command in chat. Go to like the practice channel, generate a spoiler seed, and then try to route it out in 15 minutes and then play it. Just give it a whirl. We also have some async practice seeds that are available that anybody can participate in. They're just practice. Basically, you go and you spend the time to route it out. We have like 5 of them that you can play through. And then you just kind of it's just like an honor system type of thing where You just put the time that you got after you played it with the 15 minutes of studying. It's pretty. If anybody wants to give that a try, everybody's welcome to try those and submit a time. It's very casual.
Hey, vanilla big key, which means we're gonna have to deal with laser bridge.
Laser bridge, best bridge.
And the ice rod isn't even on it today.
No, it's in. I'm just gonna shut up. I was gonna like insert some dumb commentary meme, but we're not here for the memes. This is serious business. We can't have memes here. So Kyong, halfway through Thieves Town right now. It's a big key. Big key chest, or a big chest, small key. Wow, I'm losing it.
And James is having a little bit of trouble with Icebreaker. There we go.
The ice has been broken. Yeah, Turtle Rock, excuse me.
I discovered the other day, I went and learned Icebreaker. It's much easier than it looks. That doesn't mean you can get it the first try reliably. It just means that it's decidedly less complicated than it looks like what they're trying to do.
Yeah, like most of the tech you're gonna see. Ooh, butter sword.
I hope
honestly
that means he's going for the zero cycle SpeedGaming.
Yeah, like normally most runners tend to avoid getting that force sword, but he had to come to laser bridge anyway, so it's kind of like, why not? May as well just simply grab the sword, and because that can still save you a bunch of time on Ganon. Like you can one cycle Ganon for free with butter sword. And this fight becomes even freer with butter sword. Yeah.
Yep, he got the zero on Trinex. That is tough, even with the butter sword.
All right. James is fighting Cold Stare. Doesn't quite get the containment. Does have half magic though, so is gonna be able just to fire rod these eyeballs here. Needs to be careful though not to die. But
He's fine.
squeaks by. Yeah, he's good. It just kind of is. It's annoying when you get sniped by one of the falling things, whatever they're called during the fight. I just call them falling things.
Ice blocks?
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, like if you're not careful, you can get sniped by them. The way they work is that when they hit the ground, they'll either go in the cardinal directions or like a diagonal direction. So they can either show like a plus or like an X type of pattern, and that's random. When you're doing like a low percent cold stare, which you're not going to see this race, typically you'll want to hang out near the top or actually at the top of the screen, because when the ice thingy comes down, technical terminology. It won't create the splash, so you don't have to deal with that. It makes them less dangerous. It's a solid Oko strat.
By the way, shout out to JamesFnX for joining us in chat here. That's one interesting feature of spoiler log races, that the runners are perfectly welcome to watch each other's streams or the restream or join us in chat.
Yeah, some runners choose to do it. Some other runners are kind of like, no, I just need to focus on my own game. Maybe I'll hop in their stream, maybe at Ganon or while in GT. There we go. And Kyong also breaking the ice. And working his way through Ice Palace. James finishing up Pod and Eastern. This will be James' second trip through Palace of Darkness. Mostly because of a sequence break Kyong did to get basically got the mirror early. The mirror was required to get mitts, and then mitts were required. What were mitts required for?
Well, I mean, they're always required.
Yeah, but like it avoided a double dip. That's all I remember. Oh, and their mitts were needed for bow.
No, Bo was on Moldorm.
Yeah, but the mirror let...
Right, getting up there, it avoided the double dip of Pod to get the hook shot.
Yes. I'm losing it now.
And welcome to our 158 Raiders from SpeedGaming Prime, by the way. In case you're wondering, this is not all Dungeons mode, it was just a ped seed.
And it's Spoiler Ped too. It's the best type of pedestal seed. So Kyong has a couple more dungeons to go. He's gonna have to do a combo Misery Mire Desert Palace. Not terrible. James taking down Helmasaur King. And then he's gonna be able to work his way through Eastern Palace.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Kyong has a 2-dungeon lead at this point.
Yeah, a lot of really great early game routing. Kyong really showing why he won last year's Spoiler Log tournament.
Yeah, I'd put him as the favorite to repeat, honestly.
I don't know though, like a lot of people have really upped their games compared to last year. There's a lot of talent in this tournament as well, so...
Remember, Kyong is ostensibly retired from Rando.
Nobody ever retires from Rando. Nobody. Spike chest.
Oh, Godmire, how nice.
Yeah. The best of Myers.
I mean, doesn't save you as much time when you know where the big key is anyway, but it's still nice not to go to the vanilla big key chest.
So yeah, what's really cool about this tournament, there are people of all skill levels and walks of life in this tournament. It's actually pretty cool to see. It's kind of drawn like a wide variety of people.
And with the Swiss mode, you know, all these runners get a guaranteed 7 games. It's pretty chill. And only the top 8 go to brackets, so, you know, you can be the 9th or 10th best runner and you'll get exactly as many games as the 64th best runner.
Oh, Kyong just deleting. Vitreous. Silver arrows are awesome. So, James is gonna delete. Is gonna go ahead and delete the Armos Knights.
Yeah, they're nice against those red Igors too.
So, what were we talking about? Before I interjected, something about oh, the amount that you get to play. Yeah, that was kind of like a thing. So the last year's spoiler tournament, how we structured it was you had a qualifier period where there were 3 seeds that were rolled, and you got 2.5 weeks to study them and basically put out the best time you could on them. Kyong naturally took first place in the qualifiers, was seeded number 1. Ended up the fastest seed was like a 43-minute was like one of them that Kyong put in. And you only got 1 attempt at each seed, so it wasn't like you had like if you met like you had to deal with like a mess up. You could practice something a little bit, but when it was actually time to actually put it on the record, that was it. That resulted in way fewer participants, and then when we finally got to the place where you were actually like playing against other people like directly, you ended up like maybe getting knocked out in round 1, which felt really bad. So this time around, we're really able to give more opportunities for players to play. Subsequently, you know, there's more content that we can show you all, so you can enjoy these as well.
And there was also no elimination process or anything like that beforehand. The 64 players were chosen on a first come, first served basis.
Yeah. But I think ultimately everybody who wanted to participate ended up doing so. Because we had a bunch of people drop out, so even though there was like a wait list, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, there was a wait. The wait list kept them.
Missed the landmo. I'm disappointed in you. I'm not actually disappointed. It's all a sick fight.
He had to give back some time from that 0-cycle Trinex.
It's true.
Nice block placement by James, by the way. That is harder than it looks to do it just cleanly from the top left. Little rocks firing at you.
Alright, so now Kyong is working his way through GT. GT is going to be probably 5 to 8 minutes, probably. And then another 2-3 minutes for Ganon. Is what I'm probably guessing right now. So Kyong's probably looking at probably a 10... I'd say probably a 106, 107 maybe. That's what I'm going to predict.
Not bad considering this was a PED seed.
Yes,
and
like this is that's still really fast for like a drawn out big scene like this. Yeah, it's a pretty good
also,
time.
Chad, if you want to guess what chest the GT Big Key is in, don't guess a number because the number's probably going to be 2 or 3, or maybe even 1. But if you want to guess a chest. Of course, someone had to guess tile room.
Classic.
Have we had one of those yet this tournament?
Yeah.
Oh, figures.
It's a 1 in 22. They play more than 22 games. Probably happened. I don't know for certain.
Yeah, I guess this is the second week already, so there were already 32 games last week.
Probability, what is it? Well, We're going right side.
So, tile room's not out of the question.
I think it is.
Yeah, it is.
Rip tile room.
So, almost certainly compass room unless Kyong's doing some very interesting right side to Armos routing. And there it is.
Yeah, Kyong knowing one automatic small key. Yep. There we go.
Yeah, kind of convenient to have that small key in there so that you don't even have to go on to the next room to grab the key.
Alright. So James is working his way through Desert Palace. Has Desert Palace left, and then has to do Turtle Rock. And then we'll also be joining Kyong and GT.
Though, given that Turtle Rock isn't short and he has to make the climb, Kyong may not still be in GT by the time James gets there.
Probably. But, you know what? I will say right now, this was probably not an easy seed to route optimally. There were some gotchas in this one. So, like,
yeah.
Shout outs to both of our runners here. Just putting on a really great show for the two of us, for all of us to watch.
Absolutely nothing against James's play. Kyong is just that good.
Yeah.
And do give the runners a follow as well.
Yep. I'd also like to shout out our tracker, Art. Keeping the tracker lit up for us. It's very much appreciated. Kyong, don't die. You don't even have powder. Mucka S.
And I don't think he restocked potions either.
No. We'll have access to at least have access to a heart here.
Well, that was a nice clean landmo at least.
Yeah. But these Wizrobes, they're a Enox prize pack.
What Wizrobes? I didn't see them.
These ones?
Didn't see those either.
Has enough magic. It's gonna still go for the magic container there. Probably a good idea.
I think he was one fire rod shot short. He would have had to have used lamp.
That makes sense. At least the beeping has stopped.
Yes, convenient heart drop, at least until the next time he gets hit. These rooms have some opportunity for some health, so that's nice. James in Turtle Rock is going to be making his way to Crystal Roller room as well. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Oh, I was just about to say, remind me where half magic was, and then I remembered I could look it up in the spoiler log.
I don't even remember what was that.
It was in the front of Skullwoods. Kyong went directly for the back. James went through the front just to get it.
I think that's a fair move to make. Not too costly to grab it, but if you don't have to go into the front of Skullwoods, why bother?
Yeah, both of their plays are defensible.
Yeah.
It's one of those, how many safeties do you need to make you feel comfortable? The spoiler log does not give agonometry lessons, though.
and people have asked for it, it's not possible. At least for a dumb person like me. The too long didn't listen to SNAC version of it is essentially the way that all works is that there's like a giant like RNG number that's written into the ROM, and that's how the RNG is done essentially. So I'd have to like reverse engineer the RNG algorithm that's used to figure out the AGA patterns in order to include that information in the spoiler log, and then you have to figure out a good way of conveying that, and it would just be a nightmare.
I never said it would be reasonable to try to put it in the spoiler log. I was just remarking it's not there.
By the way, Kyong, a little ahead of schedule here.
Should be sub 106 if everything goes according to plan.
I don't think that was part of the plan.
Yeah, everything did not go according to plan.
Happens. It was early. Death was early in the fight. I think it was all right.
Well, and with 6 hearts, it is a one-hit KO Ganon on Blue Mail. Giving some extra slashes just for good measure. Only needed 6 that phase.
And is in phase 4. Kyong.
Keeping us in suspense.
Did Kyong's internet like switch to potato mode again? He was having problems with this yesterday. We almost weren't able to bring the match to you, but it seemed to have been addressed. Oh.
If he hadn't taken the Ganon fall, the internet wouldn't have had problems until he was already in the Triforce room.
See, I guess is that just the way things work, I guess, here in internet land. I guess while Ganon shows his moves, James is working through the second half of Turtle Rock.
And for whatever it's worth, Kyong has not yet finished.
Yeah, we are not seeing a dot done in SRL yet. Small key.
Now, fortunately for Kyong, he has a large enough lead that he still has, like, at least 8 minutes to get his internet back online.
Yeah, Kyong has timed out in SRL. So...
I mean, I imagine he has a local recording in any case. It's just unfortunate we don't get to watch the ending.
Oh, no, like, that's like rule number 1 of racing. So, if you're ever going to be racing, like, ALTTPR, always have a local recording. That's like it's a mistake you make once, right? Like, you lose internet, like, 3/4 of the way through your run, and you don't have a local recording, and then you have to give up, but it's a pretty good run. So yeah, always keep a local recording. And I know Kyong keeps local recordings because we've gotten them from him in the past, so I don't think that's a problem. Alright, So Kyong is on mobile right now. He's talking to me. Yeah, internet went down just as I was about ready to done. LFMAO. So was Kyong's response there. So we'll get that sorted out here. Hopefully Kyong gets his internet back soon so he can done. All right, James entering Ganon's tower at the hour 8 mark. It's not a bad GT entry time for a seed like this where you had to like do everything except Aga Tower.
Gee, that's 5 or 6 minutes saved right there. Oh, of all the places to take a hit.
All right, so we now have the done on from Kyong, finishing with an SRL time of an hour 25:33. That'd be an hour 10:33. So it's official. Get your GGs in chat for Kyong. I'm not sure how his internet is. We probably aren't going to be able to get an interview. I'll figure that one out. But
Though I would be interested in knowing his collection rate, even if he can't get his internet back up. I was betting on 80 when I saw the spoiler log and knew it was going to be a PED seed. 60 to 70 is more typical for spoiler races, so I'm curious what the collection rate actually wound up being.
So Kyong's comment was it would have been an hour 20:38 if he had not DC'd. So minus 15 minutes. Yeah.
So I guess he got a pretty fast phase 4 then.
Yeah. So it's a pretty sick time for an almost all dungeons. All right, James is working. He's gonna be going into the gauntlet soon in GT. Yeah, we'll see if we can get Kyong in here for an interview, but all right, we have Kyong stream back at least. Huzzah!
And we also are joined by Kyong in here, GG.
Hey, you had us like worried there for a while. Like how?
Yeah. It was like, the timing was impeccable. Actually, it was. I killed Ganon. Everything was fine. I was watching his stream, so I knew how my internet was doing, right? And then I typed .done. I press enter. Nothing happens, and the stream starts buffering. I'm like,
Yeah. So, just James has forfeited the race officially. Yeah, we'll get him in here. So Kyong, if you wouldn't have died to Ganon like that, you may have been able to get that done in before you DC'd.
true.
I'm just gonna state the obvious here. That's all.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong for sure.
All right, and we're also joined by JamesFnX. How are you doing?
Today has been a day.
Not wrong.
My head wasn't really in it, and when I saw in the spoiler log, like 30 seconds in, that this was an all dungeon seed, that no chance. Just no chance at all I was gonna win this race, unless there was like a power outage at Kyong's house or something, and he lost internet in the middle of the Ganon fight, and
Did we lose a connection here?
One
I
second.
think we're good.
Yeah,
So, you guys took like wildly different routes. Kyong, I really liked how you avoided that double dip pod.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah, I
was,
haven't done that start water walk in a while. I'm glad it worked with no issues there. It was definitely a very interesting point of the scene, how you approach the whole mirror situation. 'Cause, yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty much a skill gap for me. I've honestly never done a boots water walk in my life, so that wasn't available to me. So I had to go into pod, and watching Kyong's route as I was running looked really good.
yeah. I think overall it was really solid. You could argue that I didn't need to do Turtle Rock right there, but I decided to get the gold sword just in case. I don't know, like cold stare makes it slightly easier to handle and stuff like that. Why not?
Like-
Kind of deal.
like you were in the area anyway. You had to grab some
Yeah,
more.
yeah. Like
So-
technically it would be faster because I need to go back there anyways after getting started, but
True.
it wasn't a huge deal. But yeah, other than that, it went pretty smooth. I think it was pretty interesting scene. The whole issue of the sword and silver arrows on Death Mountain also made it quite interesting because you could technically just go into Mire and do all that stuff before even touching that section if you really wanted to. But oh, I guess Mire was there. Never mind.
Yeah, you still need the mitts.
So, this is week 2. I was gonna ask a question. Can't think of it now.
It's hard on that side of the mic, isn't it?
Just a little bit. Oh yes. So, actually, okay. So, how are you feeling so far during like the tournament? Right? Like, I mean,
I would be happy with more wins and losses in this tournament. I don't think I'm one of the better runners in the field, so having one win already is fine for me. There are a lot of runners in this field that I'm just like, if I'm paired up, I'm going to have to either wildly outroute or be luckier than.
that's
Yeah, but
fair.
this is a turn that anything can happen because of so many low percent situations people get forced in, and the consistency of a lot of fights are much lower than it usually is, right? Because of that. So things can definitely swing wildly if something happens.
And as you even showed on Ganon, anyone can take a death at any time, and if the race is close enough, that can totally swing it.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
I didn't have any deaths, I don't think, in this seed. Whereas in week 1, I had a death in an early blind fight. And thankfully, my opponent also died on Mothula, so it kind of evened itself out there. So, with all these low percentage seeds, it's really hard to say unless the skill gap is as wild as it was in this matchup. It's really hard to say one person or the other until you actually get into the seed and see what they actually have to do.
But yeah, we still got 5 weeks left though. So Kyong, I guess you'll go into the 2-0 set of matches, and James, you'll go into the 1-1 set of matches for next week. That's the beauty of Swiss.
Yep, hopefully I can be in a better head state next time, and things around us aren't burning down like they are in a week or so. We'll see how it is.
Yeah, and like the way we have like the top 8 structured, right? So if you're 7-0, you've clinched. Same thing with a 6-1. But if you're 5-2, it's the strength of your opponents are going to matter. So like the win records of your opponents, if you had opponents that beat more players, that won more games, the odds of you being in the top part of that 5-2, that section of 5-2 players, is more likely, and your chances of getting a top 8 are higher. So that's kind of the way we have it structured. So even if you get like matched up against a really strong runner, it's not the end of the world, right? So
I'm bad news for Kyong's breakers if he loses a match with how I'm going to do in the tournament. But
I wasn't gonna say that, right? But I guess.
I mean, you still have a perfectly good shot at a winning record here.
oh yeah, it's there. 5 more matches, plenty of time, plenty of places to do better. But I definitely have to do better than what I did this week, which I know. So
yeah. All right. So I think we want to wrap things up here.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. It's after midnight on the East Coast.
All right. So first of all, thank you, Kyong and James for racing here tonight. It was a great race to watch. We've got that's it for spoiler. I think for anything ALTTPR tonight. Tomorrow, we got some matches on the schedule. There's 3 of them currently scheduled on SpeedGaming 4. We can't guarantee that they're going to occur. But we've got Dr. Marty O versus... We can't guarantee restreams right now, but we do have Dr. Marty O versus Gerdo at 2:15 p.m. At 4:15 p.m., we've got Arier versus Cadenza. At 8:15 tomorrow, we've got Chemo versus Pika Pals. And then at 10:15, we've got Dazed Cloud versus Moogle Charm. And so that's what our matches are looking like for tomorrow.
And it looks like they're all going to be right here on SG4 if they do get restreams. So yeah, should be some good matchups. 3 1-0 matchups and an 0-1 matchup. And honestly, those are 2 very good runners in the 0-1 matchup. They just had tough competition in their first round.
So I think that's it for tonight. I have been SnX, and I have been joined by
Rossi here. It was great working with you. Thanks again to our tracker, Arc. You know, the items come up fast and furious in a spoiler seed.
Oh, indeed. And yeah, if you type !spoiler, there's a link to the challenge page. It's probably going to be changing here soon. If you want like the details, if you want to follow the tournament more closely, just hop onto the Spoiler Tournament Discord. There'll be a link to our Discord server, and there's also a link to the schedule that I cited earlier.
And I think that'll do it. So hope you enjoyed this. Have a great evening and come back for more spoiler races tomorrow.
Hey, good night.